Hey everyone, welcome back to Scripture Study with Smithy. So today we're going to be talking about Acts chapter 12. This is something I read a few weeks ago and I thought I'd come back to it and do a special video. It's a story about Peter and how he, as an angel, helped him get out of prison. And it starts with the martyrdom of James from Herod. It says, Now about that time Herod the king stretched forth his hands to vex certain of the church. And he called James the brother of John, and he killed, James the brother of John with the sword. And behold, and because he saw it pleased the Jews, he proceeded further to take Peter also. Then were the days of unleavened bread, so it's time of Passover, right? And when he had apprehended him, he put him in prison, and delivered him to four quaternions of soldiers to keep him, which is about 16 soldiers, intending after Easter to bring him forth to the people. Peter therefore was kept in prison, but prayer was made without ceasing of the church unto God for him. So behind the scenes, the church is praying hard out to for the Lord to release Peter, which is interesting because the faith of the saints is probably what caused this to happen, right? What I'm about to describe. And when Herod would have brought him forth the same night, Peter was sleeping between two soldiers, bound with two chains, and the keepers before the door kept the prison. So he's bound in chains, sleeping between two guards, and there's guards at the gate. And behold, the angel of the Lord came upon him, and a light shined in the prison. And he smote Peter on the side, and raised him up, saying, Arise up quickly, and his chains fell off from his hands. And the angel said unto him, Gird thyself, and bind on thy sandals. And so he did. And he saith unto him, Cast thy garment about thee, and follow me. Okay, first of all, the saints were praying, and there was a lot of guards protecting Peter here. So Herod was very serious about what he was going to do with Peter. And this angel, the angel of the Lord, appeared. Yeah, good stuff. And what did the angel do? Smote Peter on the side and raised him up, saying, Arise up quickly. And his chains fell off from his hands. Anyway, verse 9. He cast a garment around him, and he followed the angel. And he went out and followed the angel, and wist not that it was true which was done by the angel, but thought he saw a vision. Okay, so he's not sure what's going on here, but he thinks it's a vision rather than something that's real. And when they were past the first and second ward, they came unto the iron gate that leadeth into the city, which opened to them of his own accord. And they went out and passed on through one street, and forthwith the angel departed from him. Okay, so the angel's job there was to wake him up, release him from prison, lead him out through the prison, and then once they'd passed through the street, he departed. And when Peter was come to himself, he said, Now I know of a surety that the Lord hath sent his angel, and hath delivered me out of the hand of Herod, and from all the expectation of the people of the Jews. And when he had considered the thing, he came to the house of Mary, the mother of John, whose surname was Mark, where many were gathered together praying. It's interesting that her name is Mary as well. You got Mary, the mother of Jesus, Mary Magdalene, Mary, the mother of John, whose surname was Mark, so one of the apostles. So it's interesting that Peter went to the house of one of the apostles' family. Yeah, interesting stuff. And it said here, Peter was come to himself. When Peter was come to himself, so when he understood what had happened, when he realized that this wasn't just a vision, this was real, and the angel of the Lord had just let him out of prison. I mean, imagine how you'd feel, right? That's pretty cool. Anyway, as Peter knocked at the door of the gate, a damsel came to hearken named Rhoda. And when When she knew Peter's voice, she opened not the gate for gladness, but ran in and told how Peter stood before the gate. And they said unto her, Thou art mad. But she constantly affirmed that it was even so. Then said they, It is his angel. So they're saying his spirit, right? But Peter continued knocking, and when they had opened the door and saw him, they were astonished. But he, beckoning unto them with the hand to hold their peace, declared unto them how the Lord had brought him out of the prison. And he said, Go show these things unto James and to the brethren. And he departed and went into another place. Now, go show these things unto James. Not sure which James is talking about there. You're not sure which James is talking about there, because James, the brother of John, had been killed by the sword. So he would have heard about that. He would have known. And so there was another James, obviously. Now, as soon as it was day, there was no small stir among the soldiers that what was become of Peter. And when Herod had sought for him and found him not, he examined the keepers and commanded that they should be put to death. I've got a sad face there. So all the soldiers who were supposed to be protecting Peter and not letting them escape got the chop. And he went down from Judea to Caesarea and there abode. Yeah, so there's the story of Peter escaping prison by an angel. Great stuff. So, question is, do we believe in the ministering of angels? Angels minister unto us. If you read the New Testament, you have angels visiting Joseph and Mary, Zacharias, Elizabeth. There's like a whole heap of angels. And this is just one experience where Peter has, some kind of heavenly experience with an angel. So, he was on the Mount of Transfiguration, where he saw Elijah and Moses and Elijah. So, angels do minister, and they usually have a purpose. They come to preach the gospel, to share or instruct in what God would want someone to do, or in this case, fulfilling a purpose as releasing him from prison and setting him free so he can go about his work and preaching the gospel. So, fantastic story. When I read that, I was like, there's so many things that the Lord does in people's lives, and sometimes like he's thought it was just a vision, but it was actually real. Yeah, fascinating. Good story. Peter was top stuff.